Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 20 of the DeAgostini Star Wars Millennium Falcon build, scale 1 to 43. In this video I'll be going through issues 60 to 65. A lot of the processes are very similar now, as I've mentioned before, so I'll be skipping a lot of it. It's predominantly making the framework. So let's jump into this and see how I get on. So I'm beginning with issue 60. And on this issue, I'm just increasing the framework. So just putting a little bit more on the framework. And the risk of repeating myself, because there'll be a lot of that, it's just a simple case of attaching the components to the frame. If you haven't done so already, if you check out the other videos, you'll see this getting done throughout the build and me explaining how I go along. But basically what I have to do is put little brackets onto each section and screw the brackets onto the following section. And on to issue 61. And once more, there's more framework to be done here. Attaching it to the inner ring. I'm just using some clamps as well as I go along, just to strengthen up the joints that haven't got any brackets on. But as you can see, I'm putting on one of the ribs to fit the next section. There's a few ribs to go on, but not on every section, which I do find strange. And just placing the last section on now, so not a lot to do on this issue. And now issue 62, and it's much the same again, increasing the size of the frame. I did, however, make a slight change. I took the rib off that I previously placed on, and built the part off the framework itself. I found it easier to do it this way. It's quite difficult to get screws in and get a proper angle when the rib is on, so it's easier just to take it off, as you can see here, before marrying it all up and attaching it to the frame. Issue 63 now. So a little bit more framework, and I'll be painting the one of the recesses. So as you can see, the framework is almost complete, just another couple of sections, and that will be the completed framework. Here I'm using XF53 neutral grey by Tamiya to paint in this base colour. Now the instructions don't tell you to do this. In fact, I think they wanted to leave it this sort of beige cream colour. But after looking at a few photos, there's some photos with the beige cream colour, other photos are heavily marked and a real dark colour. So I decided in the end just to paint all these recesses in this base colour. I think it looks better. It may not be 100% accurate, I'm not sure, but having that base colour just makes all the other parts stick out a little bit better. Then once the paint's dry, I can start putting on the added parts, so all the little pipes, gears, levers and things like that going on. As I've explained in previous videos, these have to be done in a particular order because they do overlap each other. So I'm having to make sure I get each one in the exact position before moving on to the next. But in actual fact, there wasn't much to build onto this particular recessor area. And I'm just putting in the last pipe now. On to issue 64, and in this issue I'll be completing the inner framework, as you can see on the photograph. There's also a clear plastic jig that comes with a lot of these issues that I haven't shown. That's just to make it easier to assemble, but it will also be using parts from other issues as well. So as you can see, here's the jig, and this is actually for issue 65. So I'm going to be doing issue 64 and 65 together. This is just to complete the framework. But before that, I'll just build up the remaining part of this jig. They're little tongue and groove or dovetail joints that I should say that fit into the wedge, and acts as something to hold the structure on, to take the stress off any of the joints, because it is prone to bending if you're not careful. So I'm making up the last rib here, and I'm making these up as the same way I've done throughout the build. So adding a little bit of super glue to the actual hole before screwing the tab and screw in place. And then once that's done, I shall attach the rib to the parts waiting to be put on. And as you can see there, I've attached the rib, and I'm just putting in the last segment for this. It's very strange, I think, that that it starts from the outer to go in towards the inner ring. I've mentioned this before, but I can't stress this enough. If I was designing this, I would make sure it goes from the inner ring outwards. Surely that would be the easiest way and more stable way to build something like this. I suppose either way does work, but I really can't see why they would do it this way. And so now that section is in place, it's time to put on the last section and join up the frame completely. Now, as you can see in the frame, there is large areas which haven't got a frame, the parts of the frame. This is access points and other things that will be attached to it. So like the holographic table area will be going in, I would imagine, I haven't checked you, in the big square area. But I'll see if that's the case later on in the build. So I'll just carry on adding the parts. There's only this part to go on now. I'll go around the frame and tighten everything up, but this is a good place to end part 20. But the next part will be putting on some of the armor plating onto the frame, so at least we're moving on now. I should actually point out, when I go on to issue 70, I actually built that before building issues 60 to 59. The only reason for that was that I screwed up. I took the issue out and didn't look at the number and just cracked on with the build. It was one of those sort of days where I was just trying to get too much done. So there may be slight differences when you have a look in the next video. I'll explain it again, of course, where you might think, oh, why has that not been done? I'm sure I've seen that being done. That's the reason. This was actually recorded after I built issue 70 and 71, I think it was. So it's taken a lot of editing and work to try and get them all back in order. But the recordings will be placed in order, so there's not so much confusion. It's just that it may look slightly different on the next set of videos. Well, not the next set of videos, the videos ranging from series issue 70. So I'm getting confused now. That's because I've been spending a lot of time trying to edit these in order. Anyway, if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? There's quite a lot on there for you to have a look at. Scroll through them, there might be something there that you'd like to watch. If you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, you'll be notified and updated on all my future builds, and of course the build log for this build. Don't forget to leave a comment as well. I do like hearing from you. Hit that like button, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.